Class is now in session. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he gives you tips, techniques, and strategies to grow and monetize your podcast. Live in his Facebook group, The Better Method of Daily Audience Growth for Independent Podcasters. Learn from him and his special guests as they help you become the next podcast superstar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters of all ages, put your hands together for your host, Phil Better! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the podcast series. I am, of course, your host with the most, the man himself, the Podcast Mogul, Phil Better. And I can't thank you enough for tuning in today and joining me on this very chilly Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. First off, to the new members, thank you for joining. Welcome to the live. I can't thank you enough for being here. Make sure you let us know if you're listening live with a hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, you know what I like, hashtag replay gang. But yes, thank you so much. I will be in the comments afterwards responding to all the questions and love that you share. I thank you so much. Of course, good evening to you. I believe it's my good man, Adam, from the TWS Sports Podcast, the number one sports podcast hosted by autistic students and helping students become more than just a label. That it is an amazing podcast. You must check it out if you are listening here live. Again, use hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay gang. Adam, you know what it is. The rules is if you comment, you get to post your link. So make sure you post your link to the TWS Sports Podcast so we can support you. Then you got my good friend, the real Wise, in the house. Wilfredo, how you doing, brother? Thank you so much. Will is the producer, host of so many amazing podcasts. Will, you know what it is. Hit us with those links in the comments down below. If you are listening to this on the podcast feed when it does go out, make sure you join the Facebook group so that you can learn from some amazing people in the group that help make other podcasters grow. This is not the regular, it's a podcast promotion group. No, this is a group where I take my knowledge that I've done over 10 years and I distill it down for you in episodes weekly so that you can learn and you can earn. Now, that's a lot. That's a lot, but I want to make this fun and interesting. I'm working on a lot of stuff for you guys right now. The month of February is going to be creating a whole bunch of stuff. I got already the episodes for the next, I think, 30 weeks planned out for us. The content that's going to be rolling out, I am in the process of setting up for us so that it's going to be rolling out so that you guys will be getting content 5 days a week in forms of posts. So that's going to be rolling out. I want to make sure that as of March, this is all set up. February, we're going to start it up, but I want to get it all done by March so that can be rolling out for you guys. There's a new email list that I have in the works for you guys that will be taking this to the next level so that you guys can see how to build a proper email list. This is what I'm doing for you guys. I'm going out doing all the hard work so that you guys can reap the benefits. That's what I want for you guys. And I want to thank you guys for supporting me and all that. So thank you for listening. So yeah, if you are listening to the podcast, make sure you click the top link, which is going to say join the free Facebook group. Click that, come over, join the group, become part of the family here at The Better Method, and invest in yourself to take your podcast to the next level. That's why I do this for you guys, because podcasting has given me a freedom I never thought possible, and I want to make sure that I can pass on those lessons to you so you can get the freedoms that you will look for, because you're only one podcast away, as I would like to say. Now, today, reading the summary, like what is this? What's Phil? I don't understand. So we're going to talk about the key roles of summaries and cliff notes in driving traffic and audience growth. Do you have a Jeep? You know what? I don't want to do a full episode on it because it's, I will. Okay. I'm going to disrupt my schedule and I'm going to do one next week. I'll do a full episode on ChatGPT. But here's the thing, Will. If you want me to do an episode on ChatGPT, You need to invite and get people to come into the group. That's the thing. You need to get people invited into the group, have them apply to be on the group, so that I can do a chat GPT episode. Or you know what, I'll make an event. No, you know what, I'll make a webinar. It's going to be easier. I can use it for content and sell it later. I'll do a webinar. I'll announce it next week. Give me a week to set it up. Will. So yeah, Will, I'm going to set up a webinar specifically about chat GPT, how to use it and all that. Hopefully it will work. What I'll do is, yeah, hopefully it will work. If it doesn't, I have some other tools I can use. But yeah, we'll give me a week to work on it, and then next week I'll announce it, and then we'll have it the following week. Will be that I'll do a live thing uh, for it. All right, cool. So now let's talk about today's episode. Boom. We're going to be talking about the role of podcast summaries and cliff notes in marketing, because it is so important for you guys to learn how to properly market. I'm going to actually move myself down here. I like this one better, because this is how you grow your podcast 100%. It's marketing. Your content is, once you know who you're talking to, what you're talking about, then it's that content comes easy. The next step is marketing, and so you need to understand how podcast summaries and cliff notes work in marketing. So there's going to be an overview of the role of podcast summaries and cliff notes in marketing, including some tips on how to create effective summaries and cliff notes, on how to create effective summaries and cliff notes, how to use them to promote a podcast, and some advanced techniques for creating engaging summaries. So, oops, I have dual screens going on here. So we want to understand podcast notes and summaries and cliff notes. So what are they? They're pretty much when they're so the podcast summary. This is what you put when someone's just coming along. So on one of the directories, they're just like the quick snippet of what everybody can expect of your podcast. So it's like everything you can expect of the podcast. So hey, this podcast, so I'm going to use this podcast series, Invest in Yourself, the podcast series. This podcast will let you find a podcast you never knew about by hearing from the hosts themselves about why they started their show, as well as lessons on how to grow your own podcast. So there's that. That is my podcast summary. That is, so when someone's flipping, they go, "Oh, I can learn about podcasts from or about different podcasts. I can learn to listen instead of having to go through and find. I can hear what the podcast is from the host." So that's the main point of that show, right? This podcast. But the next thing is also, if you're a podcaster, you can look at the episodes and just listen to the episodes that are about how to, and I split it into seasons. So one season is interviews, the other one is how to. So it's easy for my audience to know which ones to listen to, because it's based on seasons. I'm making that easily doing that tab. That's a little advanced technique, making sure using your seasons. If you're trying to hit different markets, that's something you can do, and that allows you. Some places have it, like Apple iTunes. Hopefully it will become the norm. But also for your episode, make that summary like the back of a book summary. Make it interesting. Like, that's just how to think of it. It's the summary of the book. Like, if you have a whole series, you have the series summary, which is the podcast summary, and then each individual book, which is the episodes, have a little summary. That is how to think of your podcast episode summaries. What are cliff notes? They're the 1 to 2 sentence summary of your episode. They provide a snapshot of your episode. So it's like this episode is the key role of cliff notes in driving traffic and audience growth. Like, that's the takeaway. That's what you take away from the episode. If anything, boom, that's the whole summary. And then, like, the whole takeaway of this episode, what's the point? It's also the title. So I'm gonna have to come up with a better sounding title, but that's what I have. This is what I want. This is the key takeaway. I can use it as a title. But if you're using something else, if you have a different story, like, let's say if you're interviewing an entrepreneur, you can go learn how Johnny invested in himself by becoming the real estate mogul. You're going to learn, okay, cool, I'm going to learn his why. You're going to learn stuff about this person. There you go. But also, like, my title can be something completely different. It's the 1 to 2 sentence takeaway. It's a snapshot of the episode. So the next one is crafting effective podcast notes, summaries, and cliff notes. Here's some tips for you. Your summaries need to be concise and to the point. You want to give potential listeners a taste of what they can expect in the episode without giving away all that golden nuggets. You want to give them a taste of the cheese, but not all of the cheese, if you know what I'm saying. You want to use vivid language and descriptive words to paint a picture of what's to come in your episode. So you want to make them feel hooked. You want to use the language that they use, your ideal audience use those the vivid words that will talk to them. That's what you want to do. You also can focus on the highlight reel of your episode, some of the highs. Maybe one of the questions you asked and you got an interesting response. You can say, find out why Johnny doesn't like goat cheese, and that's going to be like, what? Oh, that's interesting. That's something I want to know. Again, these are just fabricated names and situations, but it's something you can look at doing. You can also always remember to include those keywords and the hashtags. I believe I talked about the 3x3 method in one of my previous episodes. If I did not, I will do an episode later on about that. It's a very easy thing to find. Overview is use three hashtags related to your video, related to your niche, and related to your ideal listener. And you just use one of those from each category in your videos. That's the 3x3 method. So that's something you want to look at doing. You want to keep those in your show notes so that everybody can figure out. Now, what do you do with your podcast summary, your show notes summaries, and your cliff notes? Where to use them and not? You use them on social media. You can do that by sharing snippets from the cliff notes as posts with engaging visuals. So you can do a quote card for Instagram from the episode, and then just go highlight more about it in the show notes. So you can say something that orange trees produce milk. Johnny said, and find out how this weird quote popped up in our episode about this and that by checking out the website or the show notes or when the episode drops, and just put the date on the drop. In the podcast directories, because we know Google searches that, Bing searches that, the SEO searches that. So when you have certain things in there, those summaries are, as long as they're concise and they answer the questions and that they can be SEO'd, which is search engine optimized, it will allow you to be popping up in those searches and allow you to be found in the directories and that also when someone's searching. And again, optimizing titles, keyword descriptions, and other tags related to episodes. So Google and any other search engine. So it's pretty much the same. So like when they're searching in the directories or they're searching Google, or YouTube, they can find your episodes. And that's what we want, people. You have to remember, you have to make it stupid easy for people to find your episodes. So I alluded to some of these techniques a little earlier in the episode, but here are some advanced techniques for you to create engaging summaries and cliff notes. You can include quotes. So one of the most effective ways is to make your summaries and cliff notes more engaging by including quotes from the episode. So, you again, like I said, you can turn those quotes into Instagram posts, social media posts, TikTok posts, whatever you want, and that will allow you to have more engagement. So it will be all tied together. When people start searching that, it will be tied to your episode if you put it into the summaries or even into the cliff notes. You can share behind the scenes information. Like I have a photo, so I can put this photo in my show notes and it can show up as a little extra, like just before as the episode's going. That's something you can include as well. Or, some little stories that may have happened inside the episode. I'm gonna just jump off to the side here. No, boom, there we go. So you can see the rest. But a little story about how I tripped, or like I nearly forgot to get my water bottle, which, if you look very nicely, is brought to you by Sarla Rugby, a sponsor of the Invest in Yourself podcast network. Visit sarlarugby.com. Anyways, right. You can offer bonus content. One of the most effective ways to keep listeners engaged is offering bonus content. Like here's a link to a funny a blooper we had in the episode, or some laughs, or here's the download of the transcript so that you can have it, so that you read it. You can offer all these things inside the show notes, which will offer backlinks to your podcast, to your website, providing higher ranking in the search engine optimization when you start using long tail keywords, other hard, easier to rank keywords. It's easy to find. You just need to do searching. Use storytelling techniques. Make it seem kind of like a tale is being told. You can learn the hero's journey. That's a way you can set up your stories, your show notes about if you're interviewing someone, or like the journey you went on watching a movie, reviewing a movie. So I'm staring down at myself. I don't know how YouTubers do it all the time when they looking in the camera, because I'm like, oh, look, pretty Phil. Anyways, yeah, you can learn about storytelling techniques. So you can Google that. Those are just additional things you can use. Find what works really for you. Okay, guys. So here's a conclusion. So what are podcast summaries and what are cliff notes? They give an overview of the episode, like a book summary, or like, just a quick snapshot. They need to be concise and to the point. Use vivid language, descriptive words from your niche. What is your audience using, talking? What are the words that they speak? You want to focus on highlight reels, some highlights from the episode. Include those keywords, people. If you're not using keywords, your audience isn't finding you, so they can't listen to you. If they can't listen to you, then you don't podcast. You can't grow, and then you're all disappointed. You want to use those keywords and hashtags that your audience is using. Don't try and figure out what other podcasts are using. What is the listener writing into Google, into Bing, into whatever search engine to find your podcast? What are they writing? Then put that in your podcast summary. So with our cliff notes, it's a 1-2 summary of your episode to provide a snapshot. You want to use it for social media points, directories, and you can rank on search engines. I said social media, it's social media. You can take them to the next level by including quotes, share behind the scenes information, bonus content, and just use storytelling techniques. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest additional resource I can offer you is the podcast mastermind that I have with my buddy, the Average Joe himself, the king of Average Joe finances, my good friend Mike Cavagani, Mike Cav, as I like to call him, because I can't pronounce his last name. It says it up here, but it comes out. You're going to learn more secrets than just this cliff notes. You're going to learn how, like, we got into the top 1% of podcast listeners worldwide, how you can find sponsors for your podcast. One of our members within like 2 to 3 weeks of joining the mastermind had 3 offers for sponsors, because we told him, he's like, look, I'm looking for sponsors. We told him exactly what he used to do, who should target, and boom, 3 offers. He sent out like a dozen. He got 3 back already saying, yeah, we want to do it. We want to sponsor you, okay? And you get to connect with like-minded podcasters. So podcasters like you who are looking to grow and monetize their show. They're not looking to hoard their knowledge. They're looking to share their knowledge. We got business podcasters in the group. So if you have business questions about how to set up your podcast as a business, they're right there telling you exactly what you need to do. If you're looking for guests who are high valued, they have access to the very high valued individuals that you're looking to have on your podcast, or they can connect you with the individuals that you're looking to get on your podcast, so that you can help grow your podcast and use the guests to grow your podcast and find more listeners. Okay. Plus, it's a great place to have support. Say, hey, I'm working on this. What can I do? And they'll provide the answers. It's not a place where it's like, oh, we don't care about you. We all care, because we all work together to grow. I learn from them, they learn from us. But one thing we do is we do weekly hot seats. And what does that mean? It means one of the members joins me and Mike on our StreamYard on the thing, and we focus on one issue or as many issues as we can and solve for them, for their so that their podcast can grow. But also we have the group membership. You guys, the other members in the group, they join in, and other group members of the mastermind join in and go like, hey, oh, I did this and this worked, and we brainstorm as a collective to make everyone better. Because if one person's facing it, you may be facing it later on, but you'll already have the tools and solutions to solve it. So that's why we do it. So, and on top of it, and not only weekly meetings that you put you in the hot seat. Uh, we have once a month, we will be doing a live where we teach you something. We'll be doing a 60-minute mastermind where we either teach you something or we have someone come in and teach you how to take your podcast to the next level, either how to get better guests, how to make money from your podcast, how everything you need that's going on. So if you're interested, and I highly know you guys are, because this is insane, go join at feelbetterinc.com/mastermind. Again, that's feelbetterinc.com/mastermind. Go join. It's right now, it's at the lowest price it's ever going to be. Get in now, because the next time, I probably in a year, it's going to be double, triple the price. Who knows? So make sure you head over there today and make sure you get in as ASAP. So I want to thank everybody who's listening. You are all amazing. If you're watching live, you know what I want to see, #live. If you are in the replay gang, I love the replay gang. So hit me up with the #replay gang. And if you're only listening to the audio or watching us on YouTube, like, what are you doing? Come join. The two top links are where you need to click to take your podcast to the next level. I love your faces. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to always invest in yourself, and I'll see you on the next one.